actually for the wash, it's Dan, and for the park, it's Jamaica. Do you want to stand up so people can see who you are?
Hi, everyone. Jamaica, also, I just wanted to let you know, there's about 5 different neighbors that do voluntarily come in with metal detectors on a regular basis, and they do clean up the park. They did find a gun loaded 2 years ago in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
So they did report it, yes.
So there's a way, so you want to be active on those teams,
Yeah.
sign up over there, and then Dan or Jamaica will say what you have to do, because we need to report that to Tucson Clean and Beautiful. And like, for instance, like in the park, we can report if like, there's a dying tree, or there's, some broken equipment, maintenance problems. And that would be our responsibility. And eventually we'll get a sign that says we adopted that park. So did you have a question?
Yeah, those are city property, correct?
So behind the school here is city property because it's owned by Tucson Water. But over here is owned by an investment company, I believe. And so I think Tucson Clean and Beautiful will like try to reach out to them so that if we have a cleanup and stuff like that. So anyway, but if you're interested in that kind of work, please sign up after that.
I'm just trying to find out how it was let go for so long and who was responsible. That's what I'm interested in.
Well, essentially for this spot, I mean, this whole stretch from Speedway all the way to Pima has different ownership depending on which stretch it is. And I was kind of blown away. I'll have to admit, I was really surprised to find out that here in Tucson, a lot of the washes are actually privately owned. Like, the frame shop that's down on Speedway, that one wash there next to it that always floods the Zanas parking lot, that is privately owned. So, and they don't actually want it, but they can't get anybody to take it. So yeah, the wash a lot of it is privately owned. It's by out of state or at least out of area owners.
So right behind the affordable housing that was just opened up and filled up over there behind where that music car is.
That's owned by the city.
That's
It was
owned by the
donated,
city.
it was donated because Miramonte could not build on this side of the west side of the wash, and it was donated to the city by Miramonte Builders.
Well, I don't know who
And-
actually, but we're actually getting off track and we're supposed to be
That's-
moving on to the
That is
presentation.
open, up to my thoughts are.
Yeah, we're not in a conversation.
Oh, sorry.
We're trying to 10 minutes so that we can be respectful to our guests and they can go on with their lives. So, but anyway, so that's what it is. If you want to work on that, Mary, if you want to ask those people if they want to join our group, and the teams that are adopting the park or the wash, please have them contact Dan. What about her if she was going to refer somebody? How would they contact you?
They can just reach out to info@pinecrest-na.org and we'll get them on.
Oh, it's the city. So you would have to talk to the ones that don't.
No,
Right.
well, okay, but
We
We're
haven't
talking
even had the
about
first
for our
meeting of
meeting.
those. We just signed the thing for Tucson Clean and Beautiful, but we care about our neighborhood, and so that's why we're doing it. So, and then we have, one of the things we were raising money for the yard sale was, we want to put a little library in the park, and we talked to the park people, and we can put when they'll put the base, the metal base, down, and we're going to build a cute little library for children this time, and then the kids at the school are going to paint it and decorate it. So we're excited about that, and that's something that the money is going to go to. The other money is going to go, some of the money might go to some signage. We want to put a nature trail around behind the school over here so that the teachers can bring their kids back there, and neighbors can. I feel that the more that neighbors are out and about, the less that crime wants to be there, but I guess they'll speak on that because I'm not an expert. But so is Nadia is not here. Okay.
Nadia's not, she's online.
Oh, is she? Does she want to make a statement online?
That's gonna be kind of hard to do without getting feedback, so I'll see if she wants to put something in chat. But yes, she is online.
Okay, so ask Nadia if she wants to have you announce, what's being done with the hookah lounge. So our Ward 6, we're in Ward 6, and our city council member is Karen Eulich, and she was instrumental in. Are you guys going to talk about that? The hookah
I
lounge?
think real quickly on the hookah lounge, the council has passed something to make it so they're limiting the hours to hookah lounge. Used to be without a liquor license, they could permanently open all the time. They're now limiting it. Come, I think, second week of December, they can only stay open until midnight. So the idea is at least cut back the hours, make it so you don't have to be after 2 o'clock. Bar crowd going over there with alcohol in the system causing more issues. It's gonna give us more chance to have enforcement issues, not only on the patrons of it, but also the code enforcement to put fines upon the hookah lounge owners themselves to make it so they have to stay within certain structures, certain time frames. And hopefully we're hoping that that will be the first step in reducing a lot of our criminal element that is going towards these establishments. And this is not just this hookah lounge, this is hookah lounge citywide.
I'm not familiar with the hookah lounge. Where is it located?
Speedway and Swan, just east of, just south of that big Sprouts Plaza, there's one right there. That was the, that big shootout they had at the Sprouts one. It was, that hookah lounge just directly across the street on the south side there.
It's beyond your even.
Okay, so when that happened, so all the neighborhood association presidents met and talked about what we could do about that. And we sent a letter to the city about at least, limiting the hours of the hookah lounge, because I feel like people leave the bars drunk or high and then come over here and then they get in fights and stuff like that, and everybody's got guns. So anyway, so that's some little thing that our, neighborhood association did was, reaching out to our city council member who then did something better. Yay. So,
Jan, is there a chance that signs could be put up that no parking after such and such an hour at park, and we're within 1,000 feet of a school, so no overnight camping? That could help a little bit. Not that everybody's going to read it, but pretty much anytime I do neighborhood watch, it's people coming in cars later and thinking they can stay there because they're not in the park. So if we had something like that, it would really help to keep the criminal element, because the housing is so close.
right, I
To the
feel
park.
like that's probably a city thing, right?
Yeah.
That's a fun
Okay,
thing.
I don't think that's a bad idea about, so they hear you?
Yes.
Okay, so, anyway, so we should,
About drugs within a certain area of the schools. I know when we lived in Illinois and Chicago, they had, at parks and schools, they had 300 feet. I mean, the park's
Okay.
within 300 feet. I mean, I realized, we don't stop anything, but.
I thought it was like
I thought it was a little blind on schools.
within 1,000 feet of the school, but
And drug free zone is 300.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you, I don't know if it does anything, but at least it's there.
they have closed off the alley, that helped out a little bit with some of the criminal element, and one of the neighbors put up a light, so that's helped out.
okay, so, let's listen to our guests. So I've asked you guys all to introduce yourselves, so I don't know what your names are on. But here's our team who's going to really enlighten us to really what they're doing and what we can do regarding the unhoused in Tucson. So we'll start with Randy Champion.
Several of my colleagues, my name is Brandy Champion, I'm the Health and Service Director, and I'm internally overseeing community safety, health and wellness. And so these are some of my colleagues, and I'd like them to introduce themselves, so I'll have something to say.
My name is Alicia Rubio, and I'm a manager at the Public Safety Communications Department, which is the 311 and 911 call center. And I formerly did fire dispatch for Tucson Fire, and we're consolidated now. So our area is doing public education and outreach about 311 and education about 911.
And 311 is what now?
It's a non-emergency number. It's a public city service.
And you'll hear a little bit about that.
Okay, we will on here, okay, good.
And my name is Tina Cervantes. I'm also a manager with our communications department. I work with Felicia in our agency relations bureau. My background is more state departments. I come from the Department of Transportation and then came over to communications a couple of years ago to help start up the 311. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and how that will apply to what we're talking about tonight.
My name is Jeff Keenan. I'm a deputy director out of the 911 Center, which also has 311, and I'm actively working with some of our city leadership, Randy included, Maudie's, and obviously our police partners, consistently related to this particular issue, but also just generally here to hear your concerns, your feedback, and how we can address some of those at the leadership level, so we start putting things in action. So I appreciate the opportunity.
I'm Sergeant Will Juarez, the supervisor of the Community Outreach Resource Engagement Team.
Basically, what I do is work with people that are homeless and also people that are suffering from substance use disorder.
Sergeant Sean Travers, I work here at the TP in Midtown Station. I'm the sergeant over the community engagement unit. I'm a unit myself, 2 officers in the CSO, and our goal is to work all problematic parts in our division. And the Midtown division is Campbell to Craycroft from the base all the way up the river. So it's a lot of square mileage there, and we have a lot of problems there in a small unit, but we are chipping away one by one. We can talk more about what you guys can do to give information to us and what we need to help you guys out as well.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mari Vasquez. I'm the multi-agency resource coordinator, and I work for both the city and the county.
Justin Hamilton, I'm the outreach supervisor for homeless protocol. I monitor the homeless protocol dashboard and also the field lead.
Field what?
I'm the field lead.
So we're gonna do a brief presentation on many of, on all of these things today, and then we're gonna do Q&A, because I hear you. I also live in this city, born and raised here in Tucson, and the dynamic has definitely changed over the years. I hear you guys. I live in the city too, on the south side, as a matter of fact. So we are here today to listen and see what we can take back to our leadership, directly to our decision makers, our mayor and council, to see the difference that we can make.
Slide through that size, that's what it's pretty silly.
Okay. Hello. Okay. So,
Randy, I want to share something.
okay.
Because like you, I'm from Tucson.
Yes.
My parents met here. My very first T-ball practice was at this park across the street. Right? I actually lived across from Station 7 off of Pima in the roundhouse for quite a while. So again, we're incredibly invested in what's going on here. We live with you, and we're enduring some of the same stuff, and we're really here to try some solutions. So I just want to share that.
Absolutely. And the kids, I have grandkids from 17 all the way down to 3. So I know that this is important for all of you here, right? So community safety, health and wellness, the things that they do, it's a team of about 10 people. They are all about putting the right work in the right hands and collaborating. They center around housing and homelessness, as well as housing first. They deal a lot with the mental health and substance abuse side of the house. They do violence and crisis prevention, and they do the violence interruption in many of our VIVA sites, which are apartment complexes that have high gun violence and a lot of opioid crisis in there. So they do a lot of work around that. They do some poverty relief, and they're working on some opioid settlement things with Pima County. Mari's also in those conversations because she straddles county and city. Next slide, please. Housing first, we do a lot of different things. In our shop, we have about 45 people in our shop, and we deal with homeless protocol. We have a whole team dedicated to homeless protocol, street outreach, MDOT, which is our multidisciplinary outreach team. That's a nurse practitioner, an outreach person, and a navigator from one of our nonprofit partners that do outreach, working closely with Madi, our multi-agency resource coordinator, on encampments throughout the city. And Justin will talk more about that when I'm done. Unsheltered homelessness and housing is our key thing that we work on. We have some shelters here that are owned by the city and operated by the city. And we have others that are owned by the city and operated by nonprofit partners.
Royal Palms. Because nobody can get in touch with them.
Yeah,
So that's an apartment complex, right? Royal Palms,
But it's,
yeah.
it's managed by the city and the same hours, but they're privately owned.
I'm not sure about
Comments
that.
to the end, please.
Yes, Royal Palms is privately owned, but we can get into that more on our discussion piece. So mobile shower program, we go to different sites throughout the city, 5 days a week. And that's another chance for us to engage these people and get them into services. People that want to engage with us, we do the drop-in center at Primavera twice a week. The cooling centers we do during the summer. This summer we had one at our Amazon hotel, and then we had one at the Annex, which is owned by the county. The eviction prevention for our public housing and our people that are in public housing, like Tucson House, those types of brick and mortar, making sure that they're not getting evicted and that they're following the rules of their leases. Supportive housing, so we have many supportive housing. We have about 275 units of supportive housing in the community that are case managed by our case managers in Housing First. Our HEART team, which is our Housing Emergency Action and Response team, they actually keep people in their vouchers and in their housing and make sure that they're getting the wraparound services that they need, substance use, whether it's life skills training, all kind of job training, income security, food security, things like that. Justice navigation, we have 2 justice navigators that are also housed in the Pima County Transition Center, which is located out in front of Pima County Jail, for people that are coming out through pretrial release so that we can get them some resources right on the spot before they even ever leave
Is that
and
a
hit the
second
streets.
chance? Is that a second chance?
No,
They work with them, but not.
yeah. Emergency housing voucher and other case management and wraparound services we also provide. We have several case managers on our team. As I said, we're a team of 45 and we all do various things throughout the community. Next slide, please. So I'm gonna have Marty come up and talk about the encampment protocol because she oversees a lot of that we do.
Since we're sharing stories about this area, my husband was the captain at Station 7 for about 5 years. So we would do a lot of different activities in and around this area, so familiar with it. I worked for the Tucson Fire Department for a while as one of their life safety educators, and then I was the community risk reduction manager that oversaw the TC3 program and our life safety programs with fire. About 2 years ago, I was called into the city manager's office with our former city manager, Mike Ortega, and our county administrator, Jan Lesher, who wanted to create a process and a protocol for how people could report encampments and how we could have a regional response to them. So what we started to do is we would meet weekly and try to figure out how do we put this into practice? What is a way that we could have a response to when constituents report? Prior to this, reports would come into Brandy's shop. They would go to TPD. They would go to the ward offices. They would go to the mayor's office. They did not have a unified response. And so what we ended up coming up with in October of 22 was our encampment protocol. Now, this protocol is in place for public property that is governed by the city. What happens is if somebody puts in a report into the encampment dashboard, one of our encampment assessors, which is Justin Hamilton back here, would go and they will do an assessment of the area. They do a harm assessment and they take a look at 3 areas: the impact to the surrounding community, the impact to the people living there, the unsheltered, and an impact to the environment. Depending on that score for their harm assessment, they receive a tier. So a tier 1 just means nobody's living there. It's debris that's left over and it's a cleanup that's needed. EGSD will come out and do a cleanup of that area. A tier 2 is a monitored site. We have very few tier 2s in the city of Tucson. Those are sites that don't have a high impact to those 3 areas that I talked about. The people are pretty self-governed. We monitor them on a weekly basis. There's going to be a cleanup on one week. There's going to be another harm assessment done the next. Like I said, we have very few tier 2s. You have no tier 2s in this area currently. The other ones are tier 3s, which have high impact to those 3 areas: impact to the surrounding community, impact to the unsheltered individuals, and impact to the environment. Those are given a 72-hour notice. And then we have what we call just immediate removals, and those are done in critical areas. Hit the next slide. Critical areas are in these locations. So our parks, no 72 hours are needed for the parks because parks have a opening and a closing time. What tends to happen though is people will pop up in the parks quite frequently, and we only have 4 encampment assessors. We have 1 per TPD team. The reason we divided them up in that area is so that they can have connections with the Tucson Police Department. Prior to that, we had them going all around the city and we only had 1. We had Justin. So we were able to kind of grow that team out. We're hoping to grow it some more. When we started, we had a turnaround time of about 15 to 17 business days. We got it down to 2, but now with staffing issues, we're about at 7 to 9 business days to get a response out. But if it is in an area that is a critical area, so for example, if it is directly behind a residential property, if it is on a business, if it is on a school property, if it's on private property, there's no 72-hour needed. They can do an immediate removal, and then they can, and it can be cleaned. If it is within 300 feet of a school, a daycare, or a senior center, it will be posted as a 72-hour. And then we do have hotspots. So that means that we're constantly monitoring the dashboard. We're looking at places that are repopulated. And if that area becomes a hotspot, then together as a team, we talk about it, we make sure everybody knows, and then that becomes an immediate removal site. I will tell you the Arcadia Wash for a while was an immediate removal site. We did see a decrease in the number of repopulations in that space, and then it was removed. We looked now, I think we're down to maybe 2 or 3 reports a month. So if people aren't reporting, then we don't know. We can always do checks, but just like if there's an issue as far as something that's, criminal behavior that needs to be called into 911, if you see something, if you see an encampment, we do need it to be reported into the dashboard, because that data is how we then look at what's going into.
Say the dashboard, you mean 911, 311, 211?
It's a reporting system. It's a website. You can call 311 and they can help you report it. It's a URL. We can make sure that we get it out to you. It's a website that you put
It's
your
not
information.
anymore.
Yeah.
So what was it called in the house?
Easement.
An easement in the house, and that's where they congregate, because we did right by Chase Bank on Stephen Swan, and it's disgusting there, there's loads of rubbish. Would that be somewhere that you're looking at?
Yes. So yeah, that's by a business, if it's a business and, yeah, if it's a business and if it's your private property, then yes, it would be considered an immediate removal that we could then look at. So we'll make sure that we get you the website. Oh, and then the QR code is also there.
They were supposed to, at one point, this is about 5 years ago, they were supposed to put a fencing in the front and the back with the no trespassing, so that nobody would come back there. The problem is that there's a drug dealer right on the street.
And
So that's the-
Justin, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything about encampment.
Justin, do you want
I mean,
to?
as far as like the easements go, I mean, my understanding, like the easements actually don't.
There's a certain section, so if we're talking about alleys have to be a gray area, because there's a little section of it that doesn't belong to the property owner. There's the middle, if it's big enough for a garbage truck to get through, that's usually some kind of a city alleyway, so garbage truck has to get through it, and then obviously the other side of the alley. If the alley's close enough to the point that maybe you're talking 3-4 feet, you're probably talking 50-50 split between the property owners on one side and the other side. And that's how you're gonna differentiate on which way it is how big that alley is. The driveway one, some city part owner. If you ever want to know for sure, if you go to the city counter assessor's website, they show you a satellite image showing the square lines of exactly where your property lines are. Or sometimes you may get the wall here, which property line actually owns out here. So that's a pure way. And with the washes, that conversation earlier, that will show the washes too. So if you ever want to know who exactly owns a section of a wash, it'll blow it up there. It'll put it in little squares. You click on, it'll show you exactly who owns it. If it is the city of Tucson, or if it is a private entity that owns.
Yeah, there's 180 owners.
Yeah, that's an app Tucson if you want to see that. And most of the easements are not part of your property. They are city property because that's utility easement.
If it doesn't belong to us, would we be entitled to obtain that?
So it'd be private property, otherwise it's easement. I think you have different rules for those,
So
right?
in our case, it's closed to traffic, and it has telephone poles in the middle.
So the utility easement, so the property, might be a part of like utility company owns it.
Yes.
But so that in which case it would still be on the same thing, especially if it's right on the backside of your wall, it's still gonna be within your private property.
And we can definitely, once you report, we can take a look at it and see that. I do want to just talk very briefly about the messaging that we give. We do start with a humanitarian need for all of our encampments. That's why we have our encampment assessors go out there. They do offer services, but people can refuse them. And if they refuse them, that's up to them. Where we draw the line though, and I really want to make this clear, being homeless is not a crime. However, if they are exhibiting criminal behavior, that does have consequences. Okay.
You know, this was like standing there, it's right there in the house where children play and stuff, you know, so that's obviously doing drugs is illegal.
So, I think it's a report so that the data can be made. You can put a report in for our encampment assessors as well. But the more data we have, the more that we can help you.
So how many people would have to contact you, get something done and they're using?
So they report it once and then we get out to it. It's just, we do triage the reports as they come in because we have limited resources, but we do make it out there.
How does the local government define encampment?
So it's usually a makeshift shelter used for temporary dwelling in a place not meant for human habitation.
For just one person?
Tom has a.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you mentioned possibility of immediate removal from private property. Is that even if they don't have a trespass letter of consent on file with PPD, they can still do immediate removal from private
If it is your property,
No, not my property.
yeah. If
Someone else's private property.
so, we would need their trespass letter. Yeah, we can't, you can't call for your, you can report it for your neighbor, but it still probably would go through code enforcement to make sure that they are, some people have, we don't have a lot in the past, but some people have said they can stay there. Usually when we contact them or code contact them, they say, no, they can't be there, and they file a letter of trespass. And then
You have to have a sign for that?
usually, yes, but you can do the letter of trespass online.
Doesn't it have to be registered with the police department yearly?
It does have to be updated yearly. I think they were trying to make that change.
Digital now, if you go to the website, you can do it online digitally. And supposedly the system is now set up where every year you get closer towards the end of the year, you should be getting an email reminder going, hey, you're close to your year. Make sure to re-up on your trespass letter so we can keep them on file.
Is it a fee for that?
No.
Maybe I missed that before it came in. So there is the assumption that people's property is non-trespassable. We have to actually tell you guys we don't want people on our property.
There's a reasonable standard that everyone, if you're at your home, reasonable person will believe, yes, that's your home.
Right.
Now, in the court of law, sometimes they kind of go, well, you're a reasonable standard, but somebody thinks they're just walking down an alleyway. They don't know me that's on the other side. So that's why having them on file does help. When we talk about no trespass signs, that's more usually your business. Private home, the reasonable person would go, hey, this is the person's home, you shouldn't be on their property type thing. And now when it kind of gets to be that gray area, business is one thing, private residence, if it's very obvious it's a private residence and they're not supposed to be there, all we have to do on the PD side is just verify it from the homeowner, hey, this person back here, is this a guest of yours? Nope, okay, cool, they're not a guest. Now we can do our action from there.
When we just filed on 4 people that were right behind my house and the neighbor's house that had been vacated for 2 weeks. It took us 2.5 weeks for you to show up.
How did you report it?
They reported it through the police department, through the 911, because they were destroying. And then it took me even longer to find the owner of the property. And then once we found the owner, they started blocking up, and then we finally did get the police to come out. That's an incredibly ridiculous amount of time when you've got somebody that could be destroying your yard and you're not even, aware of it because you don't have cameras up everywhere. You have cameras in certain spots. It's not really fair to the homeowner that your house is destroyed because your guys are taking 2.5 weeks to show up.
I like to say that is an extremely rarity. That'll be 2.5 weeks, even the ones that enter for a callback. And I can tell you for a fact, because I do monitor callbacks on a daily basis, that we have never seen Midtown a callback go to 2.5 weeks. If it's something that took that long to get there, maybe facts are going to be done on it. If you can tell me a specific date and time after the meeting, I can look into it to figure out why, but I'll tell you, I've never seen a call sit for that long period of time without being addressed.
I do neighborhood watch for 50 years, so I think I know.
So I'd like to next have Tina come up, Tina and Alicia come up to talk about 311.
All
All right, so just really quickly, we just kind of wanted to go through our timeline of when we started 311. And just to let you know, the main objective of 311 was intended to decongest 911. We want to transition those non-emergency calls from 911 to 311 so that we free up the 911 call takers to handle the true emergencies. So we originally started the development of 311 back in 22, and we started to train and hire staff in March of 23. We launched our mobile app, which is Tucson 311. We have some flyers, so we'll make sure that you guys can get access to those that have a QR code and an easy way that you can get that downloaded onto your phone or iPad or whatever it is that you use. In addition to that, the mayor went public in November of 23, but we have not actually done an educational public announcement for 311. We originally started, when we started taking calls, we were getting around 1,000 calls a month, and just through word of mouth, through our word offices and things like that, we are about up to 12,000, a little over 12,000 calls a month. So we're starting to get the word out there, and we're starting to get people to call in their non-emergencies directly to us.
I have a question. So is 311 taking the place of the See Click Fix?
No, so our mobile app used to be called See Click Fix. It is now called Tucson 311. It's really one of the same things. It's now called Tucson 311.
Okay.
And it probably says See Click Fix if you look it up in an app store, because it's.
The technology is by See Click Fix. They're the ones who own.
But it actually is, yeah, it is actually renamed to Tucson 311 now. For Tucson, for the Tucson.
But if you have C-Click Fix downloaded, you don't necessarily have to change. It still comes to us.
Oh, okay.
But it is rebranded and labeled as Tucson 311 in all the app stores.
Does it replace the police non-emergency number?
Yes, sort of.
It eventually would.
Well,
It already
we're currently helping assist with those calls right now.
Can I just ask one question? You said it might be doing 12,000 311 calls. Has 911 gone down 3,000 or 12,000, or just now 12,000 more people say, hey, I can just dial 311?
So we're going to show you a little bit. We're also, in addition to helping with the non-emergency police calls, we also are helping assist with all other city services for the other city departments. So although we've seen a small reduction in 911 calls, it's also to help all the other city departments as well.
So the ones are gonna be called 911 and transfer to the Tucson Police Department, they'll just fix up. So you have them.
Say that again. Just repeat it. I didn't hear you.
So I called 911 before, transfer local Tucson police, so we get that.
So
It would depend on what line they were transferring you to. Were they transferring you to like a
It
non-emergency line?
seems to me it's like after 5 o'clock, I don't know, people.
Well, we would have to investigate something like that. But if you call 911 and you are looking for a Tucson police response, they input a call and then the police respond either on the phone or by meeting in person. But we're not, there's no number that I know
You gotta
of.
work to it, that'd be one thing, okay, it's not gonna stop, it happens, is that what 311 is?
So maybe I can walk you through the process a little bit, and we can let the ladies get through the might answer some, and if not, we'll address that. No problem.
So in addition to decongesting the 911 system, some of our goals were to create a more responsive local government so that we could start to take all of the calls that were going into the city of Tucson via 280 other phone numbers into one place so that we could start to say, okay, we know now that these are some of the needs of the constituents of Tucson, so we can gather all of that information and then help provide answers to those needs, services to those needs. Operators in the 911 center. Answer 311.
Which is most of the police officers.
Police officers do not work in the 911 center.
we have a communications center that has call takers and dispatchers that work for communications that respond to the calls through 911 for TPD and Tucson Fire.
Because TPD was sitting on the parking lot of the church over for half hour.
Well, thank you. We also want to look at data-driven improvements, which is when we collect that data from all of these calls that we're getting through the 311 system, we're able to make improvements to all of the services that we're talking about. And all of the house list stuff is definitely included in that. Modern convenience is the addition of the app and the online portal so that you can submit those requests yourself and you may not even have to call a phone number and talk to a person if you don't want to. And then we are also looking at expanding into the Pima County and the greater Southern Arizona region.
So 211 is something totally different altogether.
211 is the state-provided phone number service that does have resources available, but they do not connect you to anything local, which is what 311 does. 311 connects you to local resources here at Pima County.
211, say if somebody got 211, what would you dial for? Just.
It's for social service needs,
Okay.
but they would get Phoenix area information, not generally.
Like if somebody was homeless on the street, number they dial 211 versus 311.
No, they've dialed 311 here in Pima County.
Okay.
If you dial 211, you could probably talk to somebody about that as well, but they won't have the level of resources that 311 has available because they're not local.
So just to answer how we connect here with Brandy's team and Lottie's team and all the teams that are here today is we get the information and we get it out to the teams here to ensure that we're giving you the proper resources for whatever it is that your needs are. That's our connection here. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so we also want to just talk about what are the difference between 911 calls versus 311 calls. And as we already explained, city service needs, social service needs, and just basic information is what you're going to call 311 for. It's non-emergent needs. Your immediate threat to life and or property, that's going to go to 911. That would include anything for law enforcement, fire, your EMS medical needs, and then crisis. And Lucy, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the other sourcing in the right place for like our crisis and our MD ally.
So as we talked about, our department is a standalone department. We do not work under the umbrella of the Tucson Police Department or the Tucson Fire Department. 911 is its own department with its own budget, its own director, its own chain of command. And so in our center specifically, instead of only having 2 options, when you dial 911, which is normally police and fire, you have 5 options. And that includes Tucson Police and Tucson Fire, but it also has the options for a telehealth company. So if you need a telehealth option instead of the fire department to respond to your house and take you to the hospital, we have that. We also have crisis call takers who work through Arizona Complete Health, and they are trained in mental health support through university. So they are critical practitioners for a company that we partner with. And then you also have the option of 311 for any of your additional city service or non-emergency needs.
What about the school? It's still available, but 88, is it 88 crime?
88 Crime is a Tucson Police service, and they run that exclusively from Tucson Police.
Okay, but it is still something that's active.
Yes, it just, you just can't.
So when you have something that's repetitive, that's what you would want to categorize.
I'm not sure about that.
The 80 crime is through the King County Attorney's Office.
It's not for like a repetitive problem.
You can, if you want to report it to the police department directly, you want to stay anonymous, then you can go use 80 crime.
Okay.
Can I ask just one question? So if I called up and said, hey, I'm having a heart attack, you said EMS, but if I said, I got this thing or whatever, is someone trained in your office and say, you know what, I'm not gonna have the fire department drive the truck over your house. What, we're gonna send somebody to take you to the hospital? There's a company that we contract with? How does that-
So Tucson Fire Department actually partnered with MD Ally, and so MD Ally has different services for medical needs that are non-urgent. So what they do is they get you in contact directly with a doctor on the phone who can, refill your prescriptions or send a prescription if you just have flu-like symptoms, or who can connect you to other resources so that you don't have to go to the hospital if you're not experiencing life-threatening symptoms. And so they do have other options available, like they do deliver oxygen and they do help you with a ride service if necessary. And they do a lot of those things interactively through their, what they call a care concierge.
And that's the 3.
No, that is an option in the 911
And
system.
then
One of the things just to keep in mind is, remember, 311 and 911 is the same department. We work in the same center. And so part of why we did that is so that we're have a workflow where we can easily get calls back and forth to each other. So it's literally a seamless process, so that if you get to the wrong place, we'll make sure you get immediately to the right person. Can help you.
And with that healthcare thing, it's very expensive if you get a lift to the hospital on the ambulance. If they give you a lift, is it expensive?
They work through your insurance.
They work through your insurance and bill them. They did used to have a contract, I believe, with Uber, but I'm not sure that they still have that in place, but they do help you get in contact with somebody who can get you to the hospital for free or close to free.
And I think the last slide we have is just our QR code on how you can access the mobile app. So if you're interested, we also have some flyers in English and Spanish up on top over here, which also has the QR code and some additional information regarding.
So it sounded like there was a question or two. So now, if we didn't get it answered, which maybe we did not, did you want to ask those questions now about 311, 911, and what that process looks like?
Just want to confirm 911, all crimes in progress is strictly 911.
Active crimes is a component of an emergency response. The ladies really hit on what it is. Our Tucson system is unique. Across the country, you will not find this. And that is, regardless of where you enter the system, whether it's through the mobile app or not, we have someone who's triaging that to make sure that we get you to the right place based on what it is you're reporting. So the one thing that I'll share with you is it's very important to have a level of patience. If you've ever called 911, they ask you very scripted questions, right? It looks a lot like that in 311, and it's so we can pick out those immediate new things, get them over for emergency response or on the police call board so that the sergeants are aware of those in real time. And then we're trying to give our customers options, right? Our community options that's a lot less expensive than an ambulance ride if that's not what you need. If you have a crisis, a behavioral component to it, we have those people embedded in the 911 center, so you get that service immediately. You're not waiting for that. So that has been our approach to kind of a connectivity of systems within all of our first responders, including within the homeless protocol, that being one of them, right? So you saw the tiers. We're trying to pick out the most egregious ones, the most acute issues, and get those to the right people immediately. And then we also have a tracking process. So if you do it here, you get a receipt of that. It's not just you made a call and never hear from anyone, right? You made a call, you're going to get an email, right? You might get an update. You're going to see that someone touched it. So that's the level of transparency we're trying to provide in the 311 system. So we really appreciate the opportunity. And again, we continue to work every day as a team to help address some of these. So thank you for your patience.
And I just want to say again that I understand that it's frustrating, everything that's happening here. We live here also, like I said, and this is about putting the right work in the right hands and doing it collaboratively and not working in silos and not sending a police officer to respond to a person that's literally just homeless and not coming in time. It's about sending one of our outreach workers and a navigator that can get that person in a shelter and then on to some type of housing treatment, whatever that person needs, right? And not tying up our police department, which was for a long time tied up in that work. So, and working with core teams that are special teams in substance use or mental health, our MISS team, which is also a mental health police response. And they can do things like petitions on mental health people. And we're not saying that this is perfected here, but what we're saying is that we are responding. We do hear you and we want to respond and we want to answer the need in Tucson for all people. For all people in Tucson, no matter what's happening, right?
So we do have like not 10 people, especially some of them we see every day, you know, especially in this hot period of such extreme weather. So we could phone this number 311. You'd have like an officer over, like not a police officer, like somebody who's over and help them and how quick would that come? So if they're at the back of our property, would you kind of like within the day or this time?
So Marty talked about what the response time is. Marty, do you want to say that again?
So currently, I mean, if you're calling to report an encampment, it's about 5 to 7 days with where we are right now. If it is somebody that's actively in crisis, that will go separately and then send somebody.
Because usually that's like at the back of the place for people all the time, so people can.
So they're loiter. So basically they're loiter. And so what we would probably do is work with our assessor in that area and the person that's TPD in that area and just try to activate a little bit, right? Go there and check it and see what's going on and get our eyes on it, right? So the report is important because this is what gives us the power to go to our leadership, mayor, council, county, our administrators in Pima County. So this is not just a city problem. This is a state, city, federal government, a national, this is happening everywhere, right? A community issue, right? That's another reason for our community safety, health and wellness going into neighborhoods and activating those neighborhoods so that people can also have some say in their own neighborhood about what's going on. That's why we're here today, because we want to hear and we want to be able to activate in areas that are experiencing this really heavy. And we know that this is really heavy because we have a shelter right now on Speedway and Stone, right? And that shelter, believe it or not, is about 83 people, 41 of which are children. 41 of them are children. We have 5 school buses that come to our shelter, children, and bus them to different
City
locations.
Gospel Rescue, they have children and mothers going there now. They also are allowing animals to come in and go.
Absolutely, that's ours too.
What I want to know is, what happened to the $15,000 that was supposed to be allocated before COVID hit, specifically for this district area? The Alberton Police Department, Central Police Department, for off-duty police officers to come on their bicycles, in their uniforms, and we had places for them to be able to go and rest and do things, you know, that they needed to do to get, you know, bathroom or have lunch or something like that in the neighborhood, to be able to ride through here, because in 2 days, they arrested 29 people. 29 people. And they did it calmly and quietly, and there were no homeless in this area for almost 3 months. In March and February, I interviewed 2,000 homeless. And the 2,000 homeless, 3 are the only ones that stay in this neighborhood. For 11 days, they left. They said, well, what about our drug dealers here? That's the other thing. He doesn't do anything about it. And I said, well, you're going to have to tell your drug dealers, they're going to have to Uber your drugs wherever you're at, because it's not going to be here. And this is the way it's going to be. And they said, well, how do we know we're going to get housing? And I said, trust me, I will do my very best. I have $42 million right now. I need $10 million from the city, and I can get the housing started. Okay. These 3 bus rides are a mess. They're absolutely a disaster. And if we can get the police in here again with that money, wherever you guys disappeared it with, these guys were all off-duty police officers that were willing to give their time up, and they were willing to go through the hours of the east. We didn't have any homeless there. And then for that 11 days that I did that, because I just simply interviewed them. Hi, my name is Mary. What's your story? What's your journey?
When was this, Mary?
I did that on the end of February. I did 2 weeks of interviews.
So what year was this? What year was this?
Just this year. Even the businesses were like, what the heck happened for 11 days? Then we had a hailstorm and they all came back. I said, you got to stay out for a whole month for me to get the interview done. But none of the newscasters would even touch it.
Right. Well, yeah. So, I mean.
And I'm going to tell you, we're talking about a lot of people. That's 2,000 people. And they got everybody on the 3 bus rides to stay away as well.
So if you're going to say at this point, what you're trying to do, that's a finance thing, which is not out of any of our hands here. You can contact city finance on that. But in the meantime, I would probably suggest maybe we move on to.
Yes.
Solve everybody's problems.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like arresting everybody and sending them out.
I didn't say arresting.
Well, you said collecting them all and sending them out to FEMA Fairgrounds is not solving the problem.
No, I said it would be actual housing, and I have investors.
In the Marana jail or FEMA Fairgrounds.
Can we get back to the
So
program, please?
yes, we need to get on the program.
That's not even their job to answer that, and $15,000 isn't very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sergeant Corrales. I'm with the coordinate as a community outreach resource engagement team. Again, I work with the homeless and the people that are suffering from substance use disorders. I have 5 officers assigned to me for the whole city of Tucson. We assist the divisions. So we're out of the main station at 270 South Stone. We deploy through the whole city. What we look at is where the hotspots are in the city, where we get a lot of complaints, where there's some safety issues, especially around schools, daycares, parks, or large intersections. Businesses are complaining of certain activity. People encampments, it could be people using drugs openly in the area. So those are the areas that we look at. I have two people from Kodak Behavioral Health. One's a peer responder, someone who was in the streets, who was addicted to drugs, that helps us respond. He's very helpful. I have another one's a master's level social worker with some specialties with substance use disorders and mental health. They're part of our team. We also have other people from CBI, Hope, a lot of other organizations. We work very close with Brandy and Marty. So we are a big team. Okay, we're a force multiplier. And what we do, we have all these specialties. Is it housing? So when we go into an area, we say, okay, you're using drugs, you have an option. We could, if I find them with drugs, I have an option, depending on the totality of the circumstances. If I feel like they're a good candidate for getting help, I can say, hey, would you like some help? Would you like to get some services? And he says, yes. He said, you know what, I'm ready for treatment. Or I want to see what's about. And we could, what we call deflection, we could not charge them for the offense, and we get them into treatments. People go out there, sometimes people will enjoy it. You know, they think, thank you very much. If they don't want it, then if it's appropriate, then sometimes they go to jail. Okay, those are some of the options they have. So a lot of people, we try to talk to people to go to receive services. If they need housing, we have people that are able to put them on the housing list. That's a big one because of the housing. Now I just want to tell you, when we talk about, I know there's some people involved in criminal activity. I know it. I'm hearing you. I've been doing this for quite a while. But if you understand, if you talk to the people that we're dealing with, there's a lot of trauma. There's a reason why they're in the streets. There's a reason that they're using drugs. You see their presentation where their bodies are deteriorating. Their presentation looks horrible. This is someone's sister, brother, parents, okay? Someone loves them, and they're on the streets. And it's heartbreaking, and it took me a while, as a police officer, I've been in the criminal justice since I've been working in law enforcement for 29 years. And we've never seen, and I want to tell you this, we've never, in 29 years, I've never seen anything like this, the drug that's out there. This is totally something, our worst nightmare scenario, okay? They're not thinking rationally. We've had people talk to us, we arrest people, we take them to jail, they're there for 3 weeks, they come out, they thank us, thank you, Sergeant Corrales or Officer so-and-so, I want to thank you for arresting me. Why? I asked them, why? And they're so excited. I had no idea how bad I was. I had to detox for 3 weeks in the county jail. I'm looking at myself. I'm dying. I'm killing myself. I look horrible. I didn't realize I needed help because my addiction is so bad.
You're talking fentanyl, right?
Yes.
Fentanyl,
Well, that's a little bit different.
So there's a lot of medical also things that we're seeing here. You see some open sores. You see some of the swelling on the legs, the bandages. It's really eating them up. So I want to tell you, that's a population we're dealing with. Some people tried it because they're in a relationship with somebody. They were using drugs. They tried it and they got hooked. So the majority of the people we deal with, and I really want to stress this, are people with some severe trauma. Something really, really bad happened to them, and they're out there. Okay? So that's where we're trying to help. When you see them stealing, they're getting their for their habit. You know what I mean? They're trying to support it. That's not right, and there's consequences for that. But that's what they're doing. You see trash. They're not thinking rationally, right? So we go out there. We try to help them as much as we can. Yes, ma'am.
So you say that they're arrested and put in a regular prison, they're not put in a rehab?
Well, there's a difference. The jail is something temporary within a year span. Prison is more than, so prison is something else when you get sentenced more than a year. Okay, but the county jail, if they take them, they're there for a little bit. They could be felony warrants. It could be, probation violation for, courts. So they figure something out. They might be there for a little bit. So that's what, is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm saying, do they not go to rehab? Is there not someplace else for somebody who's?
They may not want to go to rehab.
That's for the courts. Now that's for the courts.
And is there
Yeah.
drug court here?
Yes.
Yes.
Drug court here?
Yes.
So some of the, we're trying to, this is a changing, this game is all constantly changing. things change a lot, how we do things.
I mean, I hate to say this, but for some people who don't want to get treatment for substance abuse, I totally understand why this guy said that to you. Going to jail and being forced not to use for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Maybe all they need, I mean, the longer they're off, the longer you're off drugs is the best predictor of long-term outcomes. So
You have to want it though.
but if you're off, I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes getting to jail, like that guy that you took to jail, it does get them on the way.
Yes, and then also we're holding people accountable. If they're constant retail theft or they're constantly doing criminal damage, we try to do that. You know what I mean? We take them to jail, and it's up to the courts for them to do what they got to do, right? But we try to do the best we can. We know we want to help in the quality of life of individuals that are out here. We want to make sure that you're safe. We want to make sure quality of life. It really makes my heart to hear some of these stories of what's going on. But we are trying the best we can. Just understand this is not that easy. We have to do constitutional policing. People have rights. We have to make sure we are following the law. We have to make sure that we get property owners the trespass letters, that we are, following
What
their
about the
wishes.
signs in the street?
What's that?
How come we don't have the signs in the street at the county?
That's something the city council has to approve.
I don't know why aren't they?
I can't do that because I'm not with that. That's something for
I would accept your last time I was there. I got costed.
Yes, sir.
In the past, I dealt with Sergeant Jack Jolsing.
I'm the new Jack. Yeah. Sure. I'm gonna leave it with her so you guys can get it in my car. Yes.
So we ride public transportation, and on Speedway, there's a lot of homeless. And I do thank the city because they're not as smelly as they used to be because there's the mobile showers around. So actually it's not so bad anymore on the bus. But what I saw was like, we were at Alvernon and Speedway and we saw the police officers, throwing them off that lot, that convenience store.
Escorting them, right? Not throwing them.
Encouraging them to.
All right.
Okay, and they got on our bus and then they came over to Circle K in our neighborhood. So like what can you do about just like having them move along to the next neighborhood?
So this is something that we're gonna try. I'm the new sergeant. But we're filling the positions. We have 5 positions. We're trying to get more officers but understand our staffing level. Our staffing level is not what it should be in the city of Tucson. My expectations, you're gonna have an officer. We're just waiting for him to come over from another division. So someone could replace him. He's gonna be in Midtown. He's gonna be working close with the Midtown staff. And my expectation is that he would work. You have to give me a chance, hold me accountable. All right. I know there's a lot of people say, well, we heard this before. Give me a chance and you're hold me accountable. Okay. But give me time till I get that person here. I want him to work with you, to work in the area. I want him to know what the problems are. I want him to be creative. All right. Because officers love to be creative, try new things, working as a team. We have a force multiplier. We have a great team that we're working with that we introduce you to. And we're going to try to improve the quality of life for everybody here to try to make it better. But you have to get.
Thankfully, I have no mechanism to hold you accountable for anything. I don't. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
What would I do if the quality of what's going on in this neighborhood is unacceptable? How then do I compel you to do anything?
The best way you can help compel us is actually probably go to the city council, because if I want to give you guys a reality of what's going on in the city right now.
Yeah.
We have about 700 deployable costs for this entire city. Here in the Tucson division alone, there are times that I have maybe 5, 6 officers for this entire division that have to handle every call for service. So as the calls, handle up there, it drives me nuts every day. And here's the thing, is we're nonstop recruiting. So if you know somebody's great that you think can be a cop, help us get through the process.
But this is exactly it. Hold me accountable, but it's the city council.
Well, when you say hold us accountable, what it does, it goes to the city council. If you want, you can send it to, I would be happy to give you information for my captain, the chief. You can send them going, hey, these guys, the cops keep coming out, and here's the thing, the problem's not being solved. What's going on? And then I promise you, as it starts with the chief, it's gonna roll down the line. It's gonna bring back my lap, and the other question's gonna be going, hey, why are we getting, again, the same complaint, the same neighborhood going on? and then they're going to expect the answer out of me, which is where that holding us accountable for. Is maybe I do directly come into my office and ask me, but somebody will.
Know the city has a very high threshold.
And the thing like Sergeant Cross says, our job is sometimes it's getting resources, sometimes it's making the arrest. Unfortunately, the justice system after that may have a different idea where they want it to go.
They release them within hours.
And some people are, some people it's an immediately taken to jail, they're immediately back up, some that they hold. It is a constant, some people call it a battle between the cops on the street and the justice system. That I may arrest somebody who wants a certain expectation to happen, and the justice system goes, you know what, no, we have a different path for that person, and now we're having to deal with them yet. So yes, but another thing I'm gonna say is being in my here in Midtown is the more you guys call, and I'll have to leave my card, so if you guys have any questions or anything afterwards, we don't know the problems without them being reported. Yes, I understand your frustration. You know, the Arcadia Watch was a huge hotspot. Here's the thing, is it still a mess out of Speedway? I'm gonna be honest with you, yes, it is. Is it better some days than others? Yeah, and there's other days it's complete crap out there. It is. And here's the thing, when I have myself and two officers, we're trying to hit 30 hotspots at once. So we're trying to. Sergeant Cross has got his unit that's trying to hit things. We would love to. I would love to see 1,500 cops out there where these problems could be minimized to the point we don't have. I'm trying to work what we can, so Sergeant Cross, with the limited resources we have. We do have the force multipliers now of these different entities that are helping us out. So yes, we want to be accountable, but at the same point, we're also asking for a little bit of patience. But the thing is, I know your frustration is I'm out here seeing the same person I've arrested 3 times last week. I'm here doing the same things. That is absolutely frustrating for me going, okay, what is the final resolve on this? And that's why I say sometimes your voice to the city council kind of go help out going, okay, you know what? And you say right off the bat, hey, you know what? I saw this officer out there, this person got arrested 3 times last week for the same crime and they're back out again. Why is that? Because that question is now off of my back because here's the thing, I did the job of going out there making the arrest. Now the question goes to the next party going, well, why justice system? Why is this person back out? Why is this person not being held in rehab? Why is this person not being held in a county jail? What's going on to the next step?
They've been shading out 24/7, 54 years.
And that's something I can't speak for, because I've not had any contact with them. But the one thing I'll say is the community is, this is the first time being here at this neighborhood association. And I thank you guys for having us here and why I want to have to put your contact with you guys is knowing what the problems are. When this community engagement unit first got created, the first thing they had us tackle was 29th Street. You guys have been around Tucson for long enough time. You know that 29th Street was a war zone. There's active violence out there, shootings daily. We wanted to work the problem to reduce the crime. We can work things if we know what the problems are. We know the Arcadia Watch is an issue. That is a definitive, and we know that every time okay, it's bad, we got it good again, we move the coconut over here, it gets bad again. So, but I need to know more of the specific hotspots, so like Sergeant Cross, if you have an issue in your alley and easement, there are things we can do. We can do a site assessment going, hey, here's some more things you may be able to do to make it to the point that these folks don't want to hang out in your easement. We could do things the same with businesses, property line, we can walk and things like that. Or, hey, we have this little encampment back here. I may not be aware of it, and it may not have made it his desk yet, but when we're aware of it, it's also going to create a spot on the map like, hey, you know what? This problem here is getting bigger than maybe we thought it was. Well, without the call, without the information from you guys, we can't do it. Because here's the thing. He drives around the city, I drive around the division. We kind of see what's going on. But a lot of people above our heads aren't do that. They're looking at a map. They're looking at stats on a map. They're looking at hotspots on a map, which is going to come from you guys making those 311 calls, making those 911 calls, and putting that stuff out there. Because I can do my thing, you can do this thing, but there's people above us that are looking at a different picture than we are. And that's where your vocalization to that next level would be. I'm here, I could be here 5 days a week, helping you with all years, trying to hear what your problems are. But I only have so many sort of resources, even with this force multiplier, to put out 1,000 fires and 2 hoses.
Yeah, I just want, give me a chance, I'm really excited about this. I really am. Because I think we could do some really cool stuff. And I'm gonna leave my card, please get it, call me if you have any questions. I'd love to talk to you. But give us a chance, especially to get the team in place, because we really want to do some good things here. Like I said, I work around the city of Tucson. We are getting some wins. There's some good things happening around the city that I'm really excited about. Okay, and I'm really sorry that you guys are going through this, but let's say, we're here to help you, and we're going to try the best we can. Anything else?
Yeah, so when I was going around, I was, talking to all the neighbors as a neighborhood association president. The businesses are having issues like them breaking the glass or them like knocking over the trash or living in the trash and they can't, the trash bins and they can't do anything about it. I feel like they need more, they need quicker service, that, they need it when it's happening.
So, yeah.
Their salaries.
I'm sorry.
Neighbors get, my neighbors went to the bank case, right, to get some business done on the drive-through. And she was accosted, they put bricks in her car and flat on her tires, and she was quite traumatized about it. All right? And I go up to the bank every once in a while in the morning when I'm walking my dog, and there's people sleeping underneath the drive-through.
Yeah.
All right?
Trying to get Chase and
And
Chase.
and the thing is that all this, everything, you guys have got everything so neat, clean, it sounds like so much bureaucracy to take care of the problem. And it just gets stretched out farther and farther. Meanwhile, the people that live in this neighborhood that aren't here are getting angrier and angrier also, because it seems like nothing is getting done. All right? The bureaucracy is getting bigger. There's more government to take care of doing nothing. And that's the way it feels, because it's getting worse and worse. I walk my dog around this neighborhood twice a day. Okay? There's fentanyl oil all over the place. There's human feces all over the place. There's people sleeping all over the place. There's some guy sitting in a little lounge chair in the middle of the street, ripping up recycling paper out of some recycling bin. All right? And I've got pictures of it. I've got pictures of all this crap that's going on around here. And that's just minor stuff. And I've had it.
The businesses are Wilmot, Swan Speedway, and all the way over to Pima. In 1 year alone, they spent $18,000 to $180,000 in repairs and feces cleanup and getting rid of graffiti. And at the R&R, before they became the R&R, it was a four-wheel shop. Well, let me put it this way, I watched 5 homeless guys go butt to butt, clean the handy, go up to the top there and live there. And then they brought up mattresses and then they brought up chairs. And I said, my God, that's the most unusual thing I've ever seen. I'll give you 2 hours. As they get that crap cleaned up now. They never did. And when that new place moved in, the whole roof caved in with feces all on top of it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that cost.
Well, I mean, first of all, Mary, you keep bringing up past history. I honestly don't know where you're walking. I'd like you to send pictures, because I'd love to know where you're walking. I walk this neighborhood constantly. I do not see shit all over the place or.
Well, you should come to the soccer though.
Walk through the access.
Like, I won't go to quite long. I've seen the soccer say my house because dogs.
Yeah, even in the park, up against the trees, dogs on shit next to trees.
Yeah.
And don't walk that shit everywhere. Yeah, the dogs are,
I know we've been working. Is there anything else? Yeah, any more questions?
Yeah, I just want to put out, we all know what the problem was, what the problem is. I want to just share an anecdote about how I helped to find the solution for the Arcadia Wash and the 1200 block. It's 4 parcels of private property aside from the Tucson water here. The sign went up, it's for sale, it's 4 parcels for $300,000. The real estate agent has a stone in front of the sign. I called them up 8 or 9 months ago. I researched about the trespass letter of consent. I said, will you get an owner to file a trespass letter of consent with TPD? I didn't hear back from him. I didn't hear back. I kept bothering him about it. He got kind of annoyed because I kept bothering him. Finally, he got them to file a trespass letter of consent. And then I said that you need to put up a no trespassing sign. He said they don't want to do that. They don't want to spend the money. I said, can I put up a no trespassing sign? He said, yes, you can. So I went over there with my ladder after Home Depot. I put up a no trespassing sign. It got torn down after a while, but there was no homeless people back here because there was a no trespassing sign up and they know what that means. And then it got torn down. I put up another one. It got torn down. I put up a third one. I realized they were climbing the tree, and it's been up there for a while now, and they're not taking it down. And there's been virtually no one camping back here. So my anecdote is simply maybe people can get creative and try to find other ways to solve the problem. TPD is woefully understaffed. The numbers are way down from 3 or 4 years ago. And we can't ask you guys to solve all these problems. We have to work
That was the first stuff.
And that's actually, that's one of the things we'd like to do with adopting that watch, is things like what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So-
that's not the solution, it's not the problem.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
what the problem is.
Yeah.
I offered to clean the wash from Pima all the way up to Speedway, and I was told, stand down, don't touch it, you're not allowed.
I hope.
And I'll get a resource page up so you guys can have it for your guys'
Elizabeth,
email list and the newsletter that has like graffiti abatement. You can do it from your phone on app there, environmental service, car cleanup. You just press how many things you can do from the app on your phone through the Tucson city between graffiti, car cleanup, environmental services. If you go in there, take a picture, put a pin drop, we know where it's at, and somebody can come through and see it.
At any given moment, I've got about 5 active, some see flake fix, graffiti, shopping carts for trash. I see these tickets get closed out and I see the stuff still.
And if that was the case, then like I said, I'll have my card up there, send me some information about what's not getting contact, and I can get a hold of the folks there and run, what's going on, why is it getting closed without being resolved?
Do you prefer email or text?
Email is usually better for me, just because of the fact that I'm so busy. I may click on a text and forget about it, or get back to it with the email, I'll get that reminder.
On the C-Click Fix side, that's our shop. I did leave also a few cards. You can email me and we will follow up. As we developed our flows with 20-some departments and now also the County, the processes sometimes involve the closure of C-Click Fix so that it can be put into another system so the work can get done. So we're working on that, but I'm here to be a connection point to follow up on some of those. But what I want to say is, your government is going to solve this for you, right? We have to collaboratively do this together, right? So what I hope that we're seeing is that you're here trying to make a difference. Yes. The city and the county have committed resources that work together in a different way and try to do something different than what's always been done. Because sending cops is not the answer, it hasn't been the answer, and it won't be the answer tomorrow.
I vote to send cops. I don't want cops for that, but it's what I'm hearing from the city right here and now is they're viewing encampments as being largely self-regulated.
Yeah,
And that's fine. Because I'm not of the position that homelessness is a crime. I am of the position that doing fentanyl in front of my neighbor's kids and doing drug deals on my block is. But we're left with being told these people are self-regulating. I see no reason we don't regulate ourselves.
To add to that, just a real quick, like, who do we contact now for our easement? What would be the best route that you guys are
The
showing?
encampment protocol, so that URL, I don't know if they're gonna send it out,
Yeah, we can
via,
send it out.
but on.
And grab one of those free ones.
Right there.
You can record
Yeah,
it
that-
and there
And
as
you can
well.
also get it from the.
I have a contract.
But, so we do report out to Mayor and Council, we're at about every month and a half, we report out. And the amount of, tier 2 camps that are there are very limited. Usually it's debris and trash that's left over. We do have some tier 3s. And then the immediate removals are also very high just because of the private property. And if they're on somebody's private property and that person does not want them on there, that's trespassing and we can remove them. But yeah.
So what can we do as a neighborhood?
I would say to continue to report.
Here's the thing, you guys have your neighborhood, you guys can give voice to your neighborhood. If you see somebody's pop up at a cabinet, if it isn't like somebody that's gonna possibly, be violent toward you, you can vocalize, hey, this is private property, you can't be here, I request you leave.
Yeah,
If
I
you
don't write
then
them off all the time.
And sometimes you're gonna get the ones that, okay, cool, I'll move on, you get the ones you drop the bat, they're gonna get a little bit, they may not get the right mental state, they may get aggressive towards you, they may curse at you, they may get violent. And if it becomes one of those things where somebody becomes violent, call 911. Because regardless of whether or not an officer gets out there right away, or sometimes they will, depending on our call level, we have going on, sometimes they won't. It shows the stat on that. And like I said, as that feedback grows bigger, the command staff's gonna see it. Like I said, if you have constant daily issues with this stuff, put on the homeless thing, but also send me an email as well.
So it's like James just left. I'm walking the dog twice a day, every day through the neighborhood. Usually it's 0 dark 30 because of when I gotta get to work.
Okay.
It's on here at any given time. It just is. Particularly, look, somebody down on the left shuffling through the neighborhood does not register. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people actively buying, using, selling drugs. And the attendant crime that goes along with it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Narcotics brings in the crime element.
Yeah. If you're not seeing camps in the area, I suggest get a dog, walk the neighborhood, you'll see it.
I mean, I do see, for example, to your point, I do see camps, usually they're not something that concerns me, but I do also understand completely what you're saying, like, big problem we've had with the bus stops is they become dealing and using locations, so you can't even catch the bus because there's a bunch of people dealing and using at the bus stop. So, yeah.
I can't send my family to the bus stop, certainly.
Yeah.
No, like I don't want to go walk around here at night to tell. It's like, and a lot of the time I see people at the back of our easement through my kitchen window, and I'm too scared to go because
I have to come home from work.
Yes,
to deal with it.
When we talk about homeless a lot of times, you're talking about a slide club. Okay, so the problem spot is here. So the hot team, the core team, we all go there when we work this area. Some get resources, some get arrest. Over time, they go, okay, every time I come out here, the police are here or someone's here, we don't have any bucks. So what they do? Let's put those slides over here. Okay, now the resources went from here to here. Now look at the resources here. We have to get the point, okay, we're tired of, whoever's here. Now that puzzle slide just moved over here again. Because the amount of homeless we have in the city of Tucson compared to the amount of activity we have is the homeless levels here, housing levels here. There's not a lot of space for it. So these folks are gonna be on the street, and a lot of them, as we discussed, they want to be on the street. So like I said, I can go to arrest this person 4 days a week. He can officer resources 3 days a week. And then it might be a matter of they don't want to move on to the point, you know what? Cops been there every day for each street. And that's where I need to know where the spots are. For a while, it was Alvernon and Speedway. And if you guys were watching a lot, you saw like probably about a month, 2 months, there was nonstop police activity there. And the folks there got tired of it. So what they do, that area kind of calmed down a little bit and they moved. They went down more towards Speedway and stuff. And then that's when the Arcadia watch spoke. Now, if I find out, okay, we're getting a lot of hotspots here, we move the resources here. Is it going to be a permanent fix? No. Is it going to give you some temporary repeat? Yes. But we need to know how much, how big, and that type of thing. And that's where the contact between the app, sending emails to me, sending emails to Sergeant Brown, letting us know exactly how big this problem is. Because you folks are the eyes in this neighborhood. I can drive through it maybe twice a day, and I see a little bit. But when you're out at No Dark 30 driving through, you're going to see a different picture than I am. So I need to get an idea of that visual picture. No, hey, this is what the real problem is. We know what to do with it.
The thing is that I can smell the things we were in the past. So like the other officer said that they're not in the right.
And so you're
it just takes a moment to do something stupid.
But to help you out, the idea is, okay, let's do a site assessment. But how do we make it to the point that it's uncomfortable for them to be back there? To the point that they don't want to be there and be somewhere else. And certainly you can put environmentally, you don't make it to the point it's uncomfortable and you want to be back. And that is something that my unit can do into a site assessment. Going, here's what you got. Here's what you can do to make it to a point. Maybe they don't want to be here and they will go somewhere. So there are different tools in the box that can be used. We just need to know what the specific problems are to the right tool to the right problem.
Well, we obviously don't have enough police officers for this, and we don't have enough housing, and we don't even have enough, places to imprison them. But, like, maybe there's other answers, like, I know you guys have slot there, that we could put fencing with no trespassing on either side of that.
Presentation on environmental things that can be done to help harden your copy and make it to that one. I'd be happy to do that.
We would definitely call this and see if something, can be done. Like in the pieces but we should take pictures.
No, and I got children myself, so I know I wouldn't want to make this around that wall. So if we can something to do to prevent that.
And it was like, because I didn't live in 4 years, my husband lived in 25 years. And when I moved to 4 years, it was like this tall.
No, that fentanyl epidemic has changed the city from what it was to what it is.
Is there money for like them to get the fences on either side of their easement there?
Not through the city, if it's their specific private property, there are certain programs that may be able to help out with that. But I know like the city's not paying you to fence, we're gonna give you a couple $100.
No, we're talking about fencing, not that's just a straight shot access way.
So as long as it's not a driveway, I've seen communities put up fences to block alleyways to prevent these type of things. They have to go through the ward office for the city council to get permission, but it can be done. The only thing they ask is utility lines, the utility companies have key access to get down. That's usually the biggest thing they want there. But those things can be done.
And that would solve the problem, I think.
And
I
if that's
think so. I
something, you
don't
know,
know, maybe all you guys, everybody on your street there could pitch in some money. Something.